Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kyle Carroll of MyMMAnews.com. I'm here at Carroll's Corner MMA Podcast, joined by Casey Hughes, who's fighting on Fist of Fury 3 for Jackhammer Promotions. But before we get into anything else, I want to make sure everyone knows to check out CBD oils and our sponsor for tonight's show. It's PureSpectrumCBD.com. Go to the link in the description. Use this code for 10% off on all products, CCMMA. So make sure you use the code. Check it out. All products on their website. Check it out. All right. It's PureSpectrumCBD.com. The link's right in the description below. And we're joined, like I said, by Casey Hughes, who's fighting in the co-main event for a title. Casey, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and your fight coming up.
Well, I've been getting ready. I've been training at Unique Fitness with Chris Cope and my team, and doing my camp there. It's almost over.
Awesome. So you're fighting in the co-main event. What do you know about your opponent? Have you done any scouting about him? Anything you want to share about that?
I tried to look for him, but the only thing I found was his Instagram, but it's private, so I couldn't really get to that. Otherwise, I couldn't find anything on him.
Okay.
It's whatever.
Now, tell us a little bit about how you got into kickboxing and fighting, and why you do this.
Oh, I love it in general, but I started from wrestling. Wrestling really got me into it. I really loved it. I love doing all this stuff.
So you wrestled in high school, and that's how you transferred into this?
Yeah. And I went to the gym and met Chris Cope, and we talked, and then went from there.
Now, the last few times I've seen you fight, you're doing kickboxing fights. Have you done? I feel like you have seen you fight also on an amateur level in MMA. Is that right or no?
No, not yet. After this fight, I'm transferring to MMA.
Okay. Now, what's the reason for you doing the kickboxing first before you wanted to kind of well-round yourself?
Yeah, just to get my striking better and kicks. And then I'm going to keep going back and forth, defend. If I win, defend the title and go to MMA.
Awesome. Now, you keep a pretty fast pace when you're inside the ring, constantly moving, great footwork. What have you learned from kickboxing that you might not have learned during wrestling, and now you kind of looking to put towards the MMA world?
I guess the hits and stuff, because wrestling, I got the takedowns and stuff, but the footwork for punching and kicking was way different, so that should help me a lot.
Okay. And you said you're out in your Unique Fitness. Where are you from? What town are you from? And where did you go to high school?
I live in East Mauritius, and I went to high school in West Hampton Beach.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Now, I guess tell us a little bit about like your relationship with Chris Cope, former UFC fighter. What have you learned from him, and what do you continue to learn and mentally and physically as a fighter?
He teaches me a lot through life lessons and MMA. He teaches me everything, helps me out, whatever I need help with. He's like family.
Awesome. And now you're fighting for Fist of Fury 3 on June 24th at Jackhammer Promotions at Mulcahy's Pub in Wantor. What do you like about the atmosphere fighting on these cards inside the bar at Mulcahy's?
I love the crowd. I like hearing the crowd. It's awesome. The adrenaline rush is crazy.
Awesome. Now, obviously, I'm sure you've been training a little bit of mixed martial arts, putting the wrestling involved with the striking. What about it do you like that it's different from kickboxing?
I guess the jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Jiu-jitsu is a lot of fun. I really like jiu-jitsu.
Okay. Now, fighting for a title, is there any added pressure to that?
Yeah, there's a little nerves. I got butterflies in my stomach, but nothing that's like crazy. Normal stuff.
Normal stuff. I'm assuming you get a little nervous right before every match, right?
Yeah, you get a little nerves.
Now, tell us a little bit about your history inside the ring. Is there the toughest opponent you think you ever fought? And any time where you get hit inside the ring and you're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this, or you get hit and you're one of those guys I like to get hit in the face.
There's one fight, the kid kept bum rushing me. I was just like, fuck, this sucks. I don't know what to do. And then I started figuring it out, his movements, and then went from there and won.
Awesome. Now, when you're inside the ring and you're fighting, like you're talking about how he's bum rushing you, um, some fighters have told me it's like a blur almost for them, and they just kind of don't know what's going on. Or do you try to slow it down mentally and try and figure out and game plan and change your strategy on the fly?
Well, at first it was like a blur. I was like, whoa. And then after like a minute or two, I got used to it, and I started changing my game plan up and went and did what I had to do.
Okay. Any fights that you're most proud of for victory wise?
I'll say my third fight. I did really good on that one. I had really good cardio, really good footwork, and I was happy with that one.
Awesome. Now, what are your long-term goals, short-term goals for fighting?
Eventually, I want to go pro. I want to make a career out of this. Either UFC or Glory, hopefully, one day.
Awesome. Now, you're talking about fighting. For the fans that don't know, what weight class are you fighting at?
125 pounds.
Okay. Now, do you believe you have an advantage at that weight, or do you feel too big, too small? Is weight cutting ever an issue for you?
No, the weight's not an issue. I feel good at that weight. It's not that bad. I feel I have an advantage over everyone because I got height and reach.
Okay. Now, recently I just interviewed Chris Wade, who's fighting in PFL in 2 weeks, and we were talking about CTE and just like things that aren't being brought up on the big spectrum. What are your thoughts ever being a young amateur fighter? Do you ever think about stuff like that and long-term effects, short-term effects, and for against your goals and what you want to do?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely thought about it.
Now, weight and being a former wrestler, weight cutting is an issue for a lot of these fighters that haven't been doing it all their life. Is there anything you would like to see changed or done differently at all?
No, no, not really. No, there's nothing I really would change. Keep to me. Do what I need to do.
Yeah. Do you think like fighters that do struggle with it? Do you think there should be someone supervising them, or I guess a real professional teaching them how to do it? 'Cause I feel like some people, yes, even some wrestlers I've seen, they're wrestling and say 197 in college, and then they're cutting to 185, and that's still a lot of weight you're cutting.
Yeah, I definitely have someone like watch you. It gets really bad. It gets dangerous. Cause when I used to cut a lot for wrestling, and I used to feel like shit, and it kind of sucked. I started changing up everything and moved up a weight class.
Yeah, I personally think too many people are cutting too much weight too fast, and it's causing them more harm than good. They're not giving themselves the correct amount of time to lose the weight.
Yeah, when you cut, you lose a lot. You lose a lot of energy. It really sucks. It really puts a wear on your body.
Definitely. Again, I bring up the CTE because I don't know if you're a fan of football or hockey or any other professional sport, but these guys they're talking complaining, not complaining, but they're facing the fact of CTE, and they're hydrated, they're fully like developed athletes at their peak, where athletes like yourself in the fight game, the combat sports, cutting weight dehydrated, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body just dehydrating, and then now you're getting hit in the head.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely sucks. It depends on what you cut too, you know. Like I don't cut that much, and I try to stay hydrated all the time.
Now, do you follow professional fighting like UFC? I know you mentioned Glory. Do you follow them on a regular basis?
Yeah. I usually watch their fights.
Is there any particular fighter that you like inspires you, or you like to mold yourself after?
I really like John Jones and Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
My two favorite fighters.
Is there a specific reason why you like those two guys?
I just love their style, their fighting style. It's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely both two fun guys to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like we're not gonna get to see either one of them fight anytime soon, though. Unfortunately.
Yeah, no. I don't think John Jones is coming back or Conor.
Definitely.
If John stops fucking his life up, he'd be a beast.
I agree 100%. I think he's destroying his legacy. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, it went down the drain.
Now, outside of fighting, what inspires you to keep doing this? Because this is a daily grind for you, I'm sure. Um, what inspires you to just keep getting back in there and keep pushing towards your goals?
Watching the UFC fighters. I just want to be there so bad one day. I just want to be on that big stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, being the UFC, I know they're taking a lot of gripe for now they're going to ESPN and stuff. And then you have PFL who's coming in. They have that new format with the seasons and the tournament for the $1 million. Is there any changes you want to see to the UFC, or is there you like what the product they're spitting out?
I don't like the Reebok sponsor. I don't like how you just can wear Reebok. I don't like that. I think you should have any sponsor you want.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, especially for MMA when fighters are making such little coin in their pocket.
Yeah, and the sponsors getting the sponsors taken away fucking sucks. Doesn't help at all.
Definitely. Now, speaking of sponsors, do you have sponsors for your fight?
I got a few. I got like 2 so far, 2 or 3.
You want to mention them and let us know who they are?
Yeah, I got one of my corners actually sponsored me. His name's Frankie. It's Diamond Power Washing, and then one of my friends, he owns a clothing line, and it's Team Mula. And I got Spit the Truth who sponsors me too.
Awesome. Now, how important is it for the sponsors to help you pay for training? Do you work full time aside from training?
Yeah, full time. The sponsors help too. They definitely come and play.
Now, you said you work full time. How do you balance work and training?
Depends what time. I get off usually really early because I start really early. Then I go at night. I train at night really most of the time.
So you're putting in some long days.
Yeah. Working's training too. It's a lot of work.
Awesome. When you go in there, what's your favorite part of fighting? Just when you get in there, is it punching someone, getting punched, getting your hand raised? What's your favorite aspect of fighting?
Definitely getting the hand raised is one of them. Punching someone's fun too. Getting hit's not as much fun.
I'm sure. What's your current record as of right now?
I'm 2-0. I had an expedition. My first fight was an expedition, but I kind of count that as a win because I did really good.
Yeah, that was also on a jackhammer card, right?
Yeah.
I do remember that. That was a good fight. So you're 2-0. You're fighting for the title. Any timetable to turn professional or move on to the next level?
I'm hoping within like a year or two.
Year or two?
Yeah, depending on like what happens and shit.
And you mentioned you want to go do MMA soon. That's within the year you want to make that time transfer?
Yeah. I want to see how good I do in MMA first.
Okay, awesome. Now you're from Long Island. How important is it to be able to fight MMA in New York on Long Island now that it's legal for a little while now? Have you seen a difference from the time you've been training to now?
Oh yeah, big difference. A lot more people are fighting now. The big game changer since they allowed it in New York. Mm-hmm. Big game changer.
Has the talent raised the bar been raised for talent, or do you feel like it's been flooded and there's a lot of just too many people in there and the talent's kind of just wobbling around?
I feel like it's wobbling around, but there's gonna be a lot more talent. There's gonna be a lot more people.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch you get inside the cage, or the ring, and fight, as well as the cage eventually down the road. That'd be awesome to see as well. Anyone you want to mention or shout out leading up to this fight?
All my team from Unique, shout them all out. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be ready for this fight. And my family, too.
Awesome. Casey, I appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us, and we look forward to seeing your fight on June 24th.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Thank
See you soon.
Have a good one.
You too.
So, ladies and gentlemen watching, make sure you go to PureSpectrumCBD.com and use the code CCMMA for 10% off all your products. We had Casey Hughes on from Unique Fitness. Casey, once again, appreciate coming on. Thank you, and best of luck in your fight.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Night.